Step into the darkness where reality blurs and nightmares come alive. It was a humid evening in late spring when I first heard the whispers of the river. I was on a camping trip with a group of friends, seeking respite from the hustle and bustle of city life. The campsite nestled near the edge of the forest, overlooking a tranquil river that snaked its way through the dense foliage. As night fell and the campfire crackled softly, our conversation turned to local legends and folklore. That's when someone mentioned La Llorona, the weeping woman who haunted the riverbanks, forever searching for her lost children. The story sent a shiver down my spine, but I brushed it off as nothing more than a tale told to scare children into obedience. Little did I know, the echoes of La Llorona's sorrow would soon become all too real. It was nearing midnight when I decided to take a walk along the river, the moon casting an ethereal glow upon the water's surface. The sounds of the forest were a symphony of chirping crickets and rustling leaves, and for a moment, I felt at peace. But as I walked, a sense of unease began to creep over me, like unseen eyes watching from the shadows. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest as I cast furtive glances over my shoulder, half expecting to see the ghostly figure of La Llorona materialize from the darkness. Suddenly, I heard it, the sound of a woman weeping, her cries echoing through the stillness of the night. My blood ran cold as I realized the source of the sound. It was coming from the river, just ahead of me. Against my better judgment, I followed the sound, my footsteps echoing off the forest floor as I made my way to the water's edge. And there, bathed in the moonlight, I saw her, the ghostly figure of a woman, her face twisted in anguish as tears streamed down her pale cheeks. I froze, unable to tear my eyes away from the specter before me. She was beautiful and ethereal, yet there was a sadness in her eyes that chilled me to the bone. I knew then that I was in the presence of La Llorona herself, and I felt a primal fear grip me like a vice. As I stood there, transfixed by her mournful gaze, I heard her voice, an otherworldly whisper that sent shivers down my spine. "Find my children," she pleaded, her voice like a soft breeze rustling through the trees. "They wander these woods, lost and alone. Help them find their way home." I wanted to run, to flee from this ghostly apparition and never look back. But something compelled me to stay, to listen to her story, to bear witness to her sorrow. She told me of a life filled with love and joy, of a husband who betrayed her and children who were taken from her too soon. She told me of the river, where she had drowned her sorrows and her sins, only to be condemned to wander its banks for all eternity. And as she spoke, I felt a tear slip down my cheek, a tear for the woman who had suffered so much and for the children who had been torn from her arms. But then, her demeanor changed, her eyes narrowing with a sudden intensity that sent a chill down my spine. "You must help them," she said, her voice taking on a desperate edge. "Or suffer the same fate as I." With those words, she vanished into the night, leaving me alone on the riverbank, my heart racing with fear and uncertainty. I stumbled back to camp, my mind reeling with the encounter I had just experienced. My friends were asleep by the dying embers of the fire, oblivious to the terror that lurked in the darkness beyond. I wanted to tell them what had happened, to warn them of the danger that lay in wait. But something held me back, a nagging sense of doubt, perhaps, or maybe just fear of what they would say. And so, I kept my encounter with La Llorona to myself, burying it deep within my soul like a dark secret. But as the night wore on and sleep eluded me, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that the weeping woman of the river was still out there, searching for her lost children and those who dared to cross her path. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, I knew that my encounter with La Llorona was far from over, that her sorrowful wails would haunt my dreams for nights to come, a reminder of the curse that lingered in the shadows, waiting to claim its next victim.